Joshua Hull, 37, was an internal medicine doctor in Temple who, according to his roommate, suddenly moved out in July 2018. Hull also seems to have left his clinic earlier that same year, maybe even days before moving out. I am unclear whether he quit or was terminated. Hull, despite vacating both his post and home by the summer of 2018, apparently still kept in contact with his family but then stopped communicating shortly after October 13, 2018. After not hearing from him for several days, Hull's mother grew worried, and it was at this time she learned from the roommate about him moving out and leaving the clinic. She reported Hull missing to Temple Police Department on October 22. In November, Hull's vehicle, an Audi Q5, was found abandoned at Portland International Airport. However, this discovery was not reported publicly, media, until April 2019. I am unclear as to whether the time gap between when the vehicle was discovered and when that discovery was made public was deliberate, holding back info, or an error/misstep of some kind. There is surprisingly very little info about this case online. The local newspaper, the Temple Daily Telegram, has run a couple short articles on it, but all are behind a paywall. Live of True Crime Society wrote a good little piece on the case here, and that is where I've received most of my info. But again, very little info to be found. This case seems ripe for a private investigator, or maybe even a citizen sleuth. I am unclear whether the whole family have sought out a pie. Where's Joshua Hull? Did he voluntarily walk away from his life, or did something nefarious happen to him? This case in particular hits close to home for me as I am from the area. Again, I am always so surprised at how little coverage this case gets, and so I finally decide to make a post about it. Hopefully this brings more attention to find Joshua. Hey, whilst not strictly being tech support, I work on the tech department of my company. We recently migrated from using G Suite to Office 365, so everyone got new emails and cloud storage, so we had to deal with all that. It went easier than I thought it would. The only problem was discovered about a week later. I overheard this conversation happening between two people from customer support. Me. CSA, Customer Service Agent. CSB, Customer Service Boss. CSB, hey, I need some help. My colleague has an email I need, but he is out sick today so we can't get to it. CSA, oh darn, well I'll just ask him for the password so we can log in. This is where I jump in. Me, hey, I don't really like sharing of accounts, can't he just forward it to you from home? If he isn't too sick, I mean, it would only take like a second. CSB, well he can't get into his work email because he isn't at work. You should know that. We had no restrictions on the email accounts, you did not need a VPN or anything whilst at home, so this took me by surprise. Me, why not? CSA, well, since we changed from our old emails we can no longer log in from home, isn't that how it is supposed to be? Me, no, there is nothing stopping you. I understand that you maybe don't have Outlook installed at home but you can always log in through a web browser. CSB, no, it just says couldn't find your account, it's been like this ever since the switch. I say the magic words. Me, show me. CSB opens up a laptop, opens Chrome and goes to log in. My heart sinks. Me, hey CSB, it's fine, I already figured out the problem. CSB, how, I haven't even tried yet. Didn't you need to see the error message or whatever? Me, remember how we changed from Google Drive to SharePoint and OneDrive? CSB/A, yeah. Me, and how you downloaded Excel and Word from Office.com. CSB, yeah, we all did that, what is the point? Me, the point is if you go on Office.com and press the Outlook symbol, you get into your email. You can also go directly to Outlook.office.com and log in there. That is how we log into our emails without installing Outlook. They had tried to log in via gmail.com, like we used to before the change. CSB had told everyone that it wasn't possible to log in from home anymore since she couldn't make it work, so they all just accepted this and tried to work around it. I showed them the correct way and made sure that they told everyone else that might get the same idea, and then wished that drinking at the office wasn't so frowned upon. So there was a Kevin that lived in my own uni flats in my first year of uni. We were both studying to become teachers. This was about 3 years ago. I'm actually surprised that they got into uni, but at the same time they were a lovely person. Let's just say they weren't the sharpest tool in the shed. Here are some examples of what I mean. when they used a spatula for cooking chicken, and then asked if they needed to throw it away and buy a new one because it touched raw chicken. When they bought a frozen ready meal from a supermarket and on their walk back it had defrosted a bit. They asked if they needed to put it back into a freezer before they could cook it. When they ate a piece of cake and when they wanted another piece of the same cake, they put their plate in the sink and got a clean plate out. When some of my other flatmates hit a doorbell in their room and rang it, they thought it was a terrorist hiding in their closet. When they were doing a project on a certain country at uni and picked India, but also didn't know where India was on a map. I do have some more stories but none are coming to mind right now. If I think of any more I'll either edit this or add them in the comments. Added in some more details. Hi all. I don't have a lot to write because I just found out about this and I wondered if there were ever any developments. Michelle Wilson, 40, was found dead at 3:30 a.m. on the side of a Miami highway, in 2016. She was found on her back, arms at her sides, with a hole in her head, back I think. That was not due to a gunshot wound. She was missing one sandal. I knew her many years ago, and we hung out in the same group but we did not stay in touch. She was a very sweet and beautiful girl when I knew her. Her nickname was Sunny. She was a mother of 2. I can't find anything other than the head wound caused her death but they don't know how it happened. I don't think her injuries suggest she was hit by a car. To me it sounds like someone stopped, tossed her out of the car, and left her there. Or judging from the photo walked up to the highway. I don't think the other sandal was found but I'm not sure. I'd be interested to know if anyone can find anything more about this case. The mystery surrounding the dead woman found on the side of a Kendall highway deepened Thursday when a spokesman for the Florida Highway Patrol said the Miami-Dade County Medical Examiner couldn't determine the cause of death. A spokesman in the medical examiner's office said a wound on the woman's head could have caused her death, but the office hasn't yet determined what caused it. The blunt trauma on her head was enough to kill, said Darren Caprara, Director of Operations at the medical examiner's office. But was she hit by a car, or fell? There's just no way to tell. I mean if she was hit by a car she'd have bruises. And she didn't fall out of her car, and get a hole in her head, and then the car vanished. It's pretty gutsy to dump a body on the side of a highway, even at 3:30 a.m. in a place as populated as Miami. Article. I'm a courtroom assistant in a Southeast Asian country. I'd rather not get much further than that on identifying information. We do both security and practical assistance like moving displays, escorting juries, and some ceremonial stuff as well. This was the sentencing of an evil flip on several high crime offenses, similar to what a capital offense may be in America. Here high crime is the level above criminal offense, or felony for the rest of the world. He stalked, kidnapped, raped, and murdered a locally famous and growing pop artist who was pregnant. He was charged with stalking, high crime kidnapping, high crime rape, high crime murder, high crime fetal homicide, and a bunch of other stuff. Evil Flip, as he will be referred to from here on out, was on suicide precautions as he made threats against his own life in prison, so he was in spiffy paper clothes. We were well into victim impact statements. The victim had a large family and there were something like 35 individuals addressing the court. We're something like 28 statements into it. Next up was Granddad. These are always really emotional, families are always really upset for good reason, but this 80-plus-old guy is the worst I can remember. He was crying, breathing heavily, shaking, the entire sentencing. He was called to make his statement, starts walking up, about past the counsel table. He then turns, tackles the attorneys and Evil Flip. He didn't get much in on the Evil Flip, maybe a kick and 2 punches before 15 of us pile up on him. He was taken into custody, and it quickly became apparent that Evil Flip got what was coming. Evil Flip is screaming and gagging for about 20 seconds, then he starts convulsing, came back in about 2 minutes choking/gagging, really bad. We put him on his side and get an ambulance on the way. The rest of the gallery was evacuated and court went into recess. By time the ambulance arrives he's not breathing, only twitching and has no pulse. They do CPR, take him out to the hospital. He was revived and died later that day. Coroner's report said his brainstem was damaged, his skull was broken, and brain herniated through break in his skull. The granddad was interviewed by national police who have jurisdiction of courts. He said that he'd been planning that for days, he felt no remorse, said if he had time he would have killed the attorneys too. It also came out that the granddad was in my country's mob back in the day, had 40 years in prison prior for drowning someone in petrol and lighting their corpse on fire. He was suspected but not confirmed to be involved in several other high-profile murders. He was charged with murder, conspiracy, contempt of court, and 2x simple battery for the attorneys. He was found not guilty of everything except contempt of court, to which he was originally sentenced to 4 years, but it was reduced to terminal probation with home confinement due to his health. Not exactly a story from work, but it was a very weird/random situation to provide tech support. Situations like this is why it's best sometimes to not tell people you work in IT, a principle I will now be adopting permanently. I got a haircut today, for the first time in a while due to lockdown. Like the stereotypical IT guy, I'm a bit of a socially awkward person, and I'm especially not the type to chat to my barber. However, it was one of the few times I've left the house since lockdown started to lift and that I'd been around random people, so I guess I was missing human interaction a bit. I'm halfway through my haircut and barber asks me where I work. I mention that I work in technical support. Barber suddenly stops cutting my hair and says, "Oh really?" 1 second he walks off. I'm sat there confused, not really knowing what to do. Is he coming back? My haircut needs finishing. 3 minutes later barber re-emerges with his iPhone and a car form pulled up in the web browser. He asks me how do I install this app to my phone? The forum was about a bit of software for Windows that was something to do with tuning a BMW or something. Clearly it was a sort of how-to guide on how to get a cracked version of the software for free. I didn't really know what to say, I just wanted my haircut finished. From the glimpse I got of the forum, it seems it wasn't as simple as clicking exe to install it. I'm sure if I looked over it for 10 minutes I could have given him some pointers on how to install it, but the last thing I wanted was to accidentally assist my barber in installing ransomware or something, and then for him to slip during my next haircut out of spite. To be honest, the last thing I wanted to do was anything IT related at all, I just wanted a haircut. I told him I wouldn't recommend downloading illegal copies of software off the internet as it could be a scam or virus, and that it wasn't compatible with his iPhone anyway. He seemed underwhelmed by my comment, but luckily that was the end of the it. Moral of the story: if random people, acquaintances, or even some friends ask where you work, tell them you work in sales or something, because otherwise you instantly become free tech support. Our floating pharmacist for the day here was visiting with the owner of the pharmacy for most of the day before I came to work. I was scheduled for a small shift in the afternoon. Late 60s patient hasn't picked up their Norco and Lyrica. After 21 days, the floating pharmacist puts the key script back along with the Lyrica. Patient decides to come into the pharmacy yesterday afternoon, pharmacist put back that morning. Well, the script is voided basically at the state level because once it is filled and put back, we cannot refill the key. Texas just a note. Patient gets angry that the scripts aren't ready. We offer to refill the Lyrica but they need a new script from the doctor for the Norco. Well, the doctor's office closes at 4:30 on Thursdays for the weekend and are not open on Friday. Pharmacist offers to call the doctor for an script. The doctor and nurse 20 minutes before the clinic closes denies the new script. Doctor said the patient will not be getting a new key script again in 10 days when new 30-day supply is ready. Patient started crying and screaming at the pharmacist. About 10 minutes or pass while the pharmacist ignores the patient and the tantrum continues. I step into the back to work on our truck order for the day. I'm severely hard of hearing and can hear the patient screaming still and crying. Next thing I know, I hear the owner of the pharmacy screaming at the patient. I can't understand clearly what is being said, so I go back to the front. The owner has called the cops and the patient is screaming back at the owner. The words aren't very clear with masks and the patient's crying made no sense to me. Patient stays there another 15 minutes refusing to leave before the cops arrive and escort patient away. Patient proceeds to tell cops not to kill her while picking up her medicine. Not trying to get political here. It was a long couple of hours because both the floater and owner were mad the entire afternoon. Never in my life did I picture a 4-hour shift being one of longest days in my life. The tension was bad. I was feeling really low today, so I decided to go for a walk to clear my head. I ended up getting super upset and cried on a bridge for hours. I lost track of time and it got super dark. I just meant to go out for some fresh air, but then I ended up getting sad and it took over. I started to head back home, but I had a busy main road to walk back on. I was thoroughly in on the grass so no car would hit me, but a car passed and ended up flashing its lights and stopped over. They were cops and they told me to get in the back of the car and they'd take me home. I didn't want to interact with officers, I just wanted to get home. They took all of my personal details and then took me home. My parents got a fright when I showed up home with 2 officers by my side. They called me stupid for going walks so late and they are furious with me. I feel awful, but I really needed the time to clear my head. I'm 22, I shouldn't be getting a lecture on going on walks at night time. DL, Doctor, I want a walk. It got dark, the cops pulled me over and took me home and parents got mad. Last summer, I was at a summer camp and they had a system where every Sunday the counselors would go around and ask each camper what they needed, and the next day the director would go out and buy said items. Being a little 14-year-old little shoot, I decided it would be funny to order condoms, so with a smirk I turned in my shopping list. Big mistake. The next day, I got called into the director's office and had to have a long chat with the director where I had to explain that it was a joke and got lectured on how this wasn't funny on a phone call with my parents. To this day my dad won't stop laughing when I bring this up. TLDR, my summer camp had a shopping list. I put condoms on my list and had to have a very serious talk with the camp director. So I posted here recently, but just now I remember one call I had not even having a month on my call center. You'll love this, I'm sure. There was some previous problems regarding this for a lamp that arrived broken, and the customer was like 10 minutes complaining about it. I was already tired of that Karen, but well, she was not being disrespectful, just annoying. So here is the interesting part. Me. K, Karen, though she was right. OA, other agent. DL, team leader. CA, carrier agent. Me, so the refund is already being processed. Is there anything else I can help you with today? K, actually yes. Internal screaming. Me, what would it be? K, a few weeks ago a delivery guy entered my house to left the purchase I made. Little context. It was a pilot feature that allowed that to avoid leaving packages outside. Me, okay. And what happened? K, the guy entered naked to my house and didn't left the package. Me, speechless and mouth open. K. Me, you mean naked like with no clothes? K, yes. All naked and I have it recorded. Me, trying not to laugh, okay Karen. Actually, since this was with our personal carrier service, we have a separate department that handles that. Let me transfer you with them and explain the situation. K, please do. Puts customer on hold. Me, ha 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 ha. DL and OA, WTF? What happened? Me, explains the situation. DL and OA, ha 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 ha. DL, well, transfer her, good thing is not our bullet. Then transferring the call, the CA picks. CA, hi, this is CA from carrier support. I see that you were transferring a customer? Me, hi CA, yes. Actually I have here Karen that has a complaint for this delivery. She says that the driver entered her house naked and she has a footage. CA. Me, thinking she will hang up thinking is a joke or something. CA, you have to be kidding me. Me, laughing because I couldn't resist anymore. I wish, but she is serious, I double checked. CA, but naked like completely? Me, and looking at the camera according the customer. CA, oh well. Please send her over. I swear I could hear a facepalm from her. Don't know how did it ended since I transferred the call. By far the funniest story I have on my call center. So as some who was laid off in March, I enjoyed my last 4 months of work-free life, but Atlas, I need a job now. My state went into a green stage, meaning that many businesses are open now and hiring. I applied to as many as I could as a 17-year-old and landed an interview today at Subway. I went in around what little lunch rush they had and got pulled into the office for the interview. The way to get into the office was at the opposite end of the sandwich bar area where there was a little flap door. A kinda sucky setup. I was walking towards it when a woman very angrily huffed at the sight of me. I came out from behind the sandwich bar and looked at her. Can I help you with something? Yes you can. I've been waiting here for 20 minutes. Not true. The person working just went into the back to restock some of the sandwich fillings. I heard her say, give me just a moment please, I'll be right with you. Oh, I'm sorry ma'am, I don't work here. Yes you do. You came out from behind the sandwich bar. I saw you walk in there too. Only employees are allowed back there. You're absolutely right, but I hopefully will be allowed back there by my own will sometime soon. Look, I don't care if you just got off your shift or something. Make me a sandwich. Now I have worked as a line cook before, and while I never talked with customers much, I did have at least some experience with that award-winning top-notch employee twinkle in my eyes, no smile cause of all the masks. I apologize for the inconvenience ma'am. I'll get someone to make your sandwich. No. Make it for me now. At this point I'm done with her BS, but if the manager comes out at any second and sees me bad-mouthing a customer, then I'm in trouble. Thank the good heavens above though, because the employee had come out now with extra sandwich fillings and started talking to the lady. I apologized to them both for the inconvenience and left while the employee was making her sandwich. Hopefully I was patient enough or just all around nice, as how I described myself in the interview to the manager who might have been watching the cameras. I was promised a call on if I get the job or not on Wednesday, so I'll update with the news after the call. I'll try to keep this short. Basically, I had a reoccurring cyst at my tailbone that needed to be surgically removed. I'd known about it for a few years, but usually a hot Epsom salt bath and going easy on sit-ups made it manageable. Pop a few 800 mg ibuprofen and I was good to go. Not really sure why, but one flare-up was really bad. I told my chief I needed to go to medical and he said no, the entire division was going to the gym for the PRT. Nothing I said worked, so off to the gym I went. I was in pain and complaining to a few friends about it outside the gym when a guy we didn't recognize popped into the conversation. He tried to calm me down because I was alternating between cussing and crying. I literally couldn't sit down and knew I'd be failed for this cycle. As it turned out, this was our new officer that headed up the PRT stuff, and he pulled me aside, said to go to medical and he'd take care of my chief. Medical said I needed surgery, my usual baths and taking it easy wouldn't work this time. So everything was lined up. My chief pulled me into his office and asked why I was going so far with this act. Surely surgery wasn't necessary. I didn't try to argue with him, just told him what the doctors told me and that was that. Surgery day rolls around and things go okay. Recovery was an idiot, as was trying to shower, use the restroom, or just sleep. My chief still didn't believe me that the surgery was necessary. But whatever, woman shrugging, it resulted in nerve damage in my lower back and my hip joints to deteriorate. Now I have to get routine shots to deaden the nerves and injections into my hips to help with the pain. Fun. Edit, I'm out now and visit the VA for medical needs. Last I knew, that chief was removed from his position as division chief and sent to another department for some things that happened. This happened 8 years ago and I know I will be forever grateful to my school and teachers. In 2012 I fractured my leg during summer and was in the bed for almost 6 months. I couldn't attend school or classes. As this was an important year and also cause we honestly didn't expect my leg to be a problem for 6 months, I continued with school work. I would write the assignments and submit via my sister. We used to have monthly tests which I used to write and submit the next day when my dad collected the next question paper. My school was very accommodating and helpful. I even wrote my first semester exams from home. 2 of my teachers came home on their own time just to help me out. The school didn't request them, my parents didn't. They came forward to teach me at home to help their student. For 4 months every week my maths mom and Sanskrit sir used to come home and teach me. The day I went back to school, my principal, and few teachers who have previously taken class for me, checked on me for days to make sure I was okay. I remember my chemistry mom hugging me and welcoming me back. Their love and kindness makes me cry even now. I love you moms and sirs. I will always be grateful. I just thought of posting this in a teachers forum as a thank you to all of you working hard to help us with our education. Thank you. You guys are heroes. I'm at the OMAX buying an office chair this afternoon. I've paid. I'm holding my receipt waiting for the good fellow who rang me up to roll up my purchase. That fellow is wearing red, the guy at the next register is wearing red. The employees wear red. I'm wearing khakis and a dark gray polo. Casual Friday in this idiot. And of course we're masked up, right? So a random guy walks up to me and asks if I sell stamps. I'm in recruiting and professional development, so I say, no, I sell people. The look he gave was priceless. Huh? He's thinking I'm in some trafficking ring at this point, I don't know. I sell people to IT firms. It clicks. He was chill. Apologizes, hangs his head, and shuffles off to someone wearing a name tag. Not as glorious as other stories, but it was fun and I have no friends to talk to. Cheers and have a good weekend. I work at a small-town coffee shop that has managed to adapt and stay busy during COVID-19 by utilizing a window for walk-up service. A regular problematic customer, let's call him TJ, is a typical middle-aged man riddled with toxic masculinity. He often makes female employees and customers uncomfortable with his comments. Lately he's been around a lot, being typical TJ. Today he came to our window and ordered a coffee. Cool, nothing out of the ordinary. A co-worker asked him if he would like to tip via our Square register, We normally don't verbally ask customers, but with the current pandemic we are not allowing customers to touch our iPad system. He proceeded to tell her to put 100, and reassured them he wanted to tip that much because he appreciates our hard work and effort and wants to chip in since our business has been a bit slower. Okay, I gave him that and almost have a change of heart about DJ. We both outwardly thank him and he goes on his way. I text my boss about this uncharacteristic interaction with TJ, and through their end of the register system she was able to look at the transaction. They noticed that not only was the credit card he used not in his name, but in his boss's name, on their company card. Typical TJ. What a D-bag. My hotel and our sister properties have been through it today. We should have known something was up when someone defecated in the hallway at one of the locations, then argued, "How'd you know it was me?" This is defamation. Dude, we're in the red zone in a quarantine where most of hotels are empty. I think we can figure it out. Then at my hotel someone came in with a family form which entities them to one room for their stay. They booked two, had a fraudulent form, argues with me for a while and leaves. They tried to go to another one of our sister hotels across the street like we don't talk, came back, was upset that I wouldn't honor the form, comp a room or give them an upgrade because their kids are tired and I made their trip terrible. But I think the best has to be our other sister hotel, who had to call the police because some high as heck guy tried to argue with them they should keep the pool open later for them since it was close all summer, but does not understand that they don't have a pool anymore at that location. Stay strong, remember to drink water, and restrain from jumping over the counter to strangle some idiot. After I finished high school I took a job at a grocery store, part of the Kroger brand, for a few months. One day, after completing my shift I was on my way home when I remembered I needed to pick up a couple groceries, so I stopped at another store from the chain. This one wasn't hiring, hence why my job was further away. I'm picking out my groceries when a lady comes up behind me and says, "Excuse me young lady, could you help me find something?" I'm not a girl, I just happen to have long hair, so already I'm a little annoyed. "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but I don't work here." Why would you lie like that when you're wearing your name tag and uniform? "Okay, yes I work here but I don't work here," I say, pointing to the ground. "Just because you're not stationed here isn't an excuse for you to not help me." "No, I mean I don't work at this store. I've already completed my shift at another store." Luckily, before this lady can go full Karen, an employee of this particular store saves me. "He's right ma'am. He doesn't work at this location. But I can help you." I mouthed her a quick thank you and she nodded, and I quickly bought what I needed and left before anyone else decided to ask me for help. This happened last year. I was at a bookstore browsing through some manga and just being really indecisive while taking out books and putting them back when I changed my mind. This teenager came from one end of the section and asked me where one manga is. I had no idea, but I decided to try to be helpful and looked up and down the shelves, spotted the title and pointed it out. He grabbed one and left without even saying thanks. I didn't think much of it at the time but now realize I must have looked like an employee organizing the books. I laugh when I think about it now, and it wasn't a bad encounter or anything, but it is the first time I might have been mistaken for an employee. So this happened to my grandfather at a gas station. GF grandfather. Kavina / cashier. And hashtag X200B. KOK your total will be 18. GFOK, hands cashier at 20 / K / hands back 8 / have a good day. GF ma'am, this is the wrong amount of change. KO I'm sorry, she hands my grandfather 2 more 5s / GF ma'am, this is still the wrong amount of change. KO I'm sorry again, she hands him a 10 / Guy in line just take the money, she don't understand nothing. So my grandpa takes the change he is owed and gives the rest of it to the Kavina. K stares at him in shock / My grandfather then leaves the store. The funniest part is he'd go to this store almost every day. Sadly, my grandpa never saw the Kavina again. Although my grandpa has many other stories of stupid people he's met. First time posting, currently a EMS dispatcher for a private ambulance company for 3 years now. We take some calls, however, they're usually seizures, psych, and falls. This one? Probably should have been psych, but unfortunately she wasn't the patient. This call happened in my first year, while I was pretty fresh and didn't understand the power of controlling a call. And hashtag X200B. Me, okay, tell me exactly what happened. CLR, yeah, my mom fell in the other room, You know we have her locked in there right now, but yeah, she fell and I think she may have hit her head. Me, okay, are you with her now? CLR, well, you see, she has dementia, and we live in a new home, so she is locked in there. You see, we can't have her wandering because of the bears that are around here. Me, have you gone to check on her yet? CLR, no, I can't unlock her door because she will get out and the bears will get her. Me, can you please go check on the patient? CLR, yeah, I think she might have hit her head, it sounded like she hit the end table, that's what woke me up, but even our big dog, insert large dog brand, is afraid to go outside because there are bears here at this new house. Please send the ambulance but make sure they get in and out quick because the bears will get them. Rinse and repeat for literally every one of the 10 questions involved with a fall. I was essentially working with a third-party caller as she flat out refused to unlock her mother from the room until the imps got there, let alone even go look at her. And #X200B. I kid you not, I heard way more about these bears than I ever got out of her regarding her fallen mother. While I may have wanted to bash my head into the desk repeatedly asking her the questions, now I can have a good belly laugh over it. From what I do remember though, Mom was transported alright, and no EMTs were mauled by the darn bears. I am so sick of bending backwards to accommodate a guest and then have them give us a bad rating on our website. Look, I get it, sometimes things don't work out the way they should. I really do care. I care when the remote doesn't work and I go through all of the batteries. I have to see if it's the remote or the batteries. Why does the first shift save dead batteries? Then finally, after I get the TV working, bring up some snacks for the little ones in the room. I get a call the bathroom shelf fell as they were reaching for a towel. I apologized profusely and gave them a free night's stay and offered to transfer them to an EXE suite. They wanted to stay in the room since they will be leaving in the morning and it was already 1 in the morning. A few days later, I found that they left a scathing review on our Score website, detailing how I could have done many things better like moving them to another room. Why go the extra mile, after me giving you a free night's stay and taking many trips up to the room to make sure everything was okay? Would they leave such a horrible review and also mention my name? Some people are absolutely despicable. It seriously makes me care less and less, each time it happens. No wonder why you go to certain hotels and the front desk clerks look like they could give a rat's ass if you are there or not. Rant over. Here's a fun one, not necessarily too facepalmy given the circumstances, but I thought it was a fun easy one nonetheless. One of our nice, elderly users called into our Tier 1 saying that her system was showing a third display but she's only using 2 monitors. After exhausting all possible settings they could think of, D1 passed it off to us. Once the ticket gets to us, it's typically hardware related and we'll need to put hands on it. As the majority of our user base is working from home during these times, I emailed the user to let her know she'd have to come in and have us look at her system. I also told her to bring everything with her as it sits on her desk so I could get a more accurate idea of exactly what's going on. She arrives a little while later and we start lugging everything inside from her car, and that's when I see what the issue is. The one external monitor had 2 display cables running from it to the docking station. She was using the laptop screen as the second monitor. Sure enough, we fired everything up, I checked the Windows settings, and there it showed 3 displays. I unplugged the VGA cable from the docking station, the screens flickered, and then only 2 displays were present in Windows. Voila! I advised the user as to what I did and she was happy with the outcome. It wasn't exactly something that Tier 1 could have seen over the phone or even a remote session, so I can't really blame them. It's just assumed that they would only have 1 display cable per monitor plugged in.